Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Spirit and Truth Sanctuary, where the whole household of God is both welcomed and wanted. This is our Wednesday night study series. We are currently in Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, and it has been an amazing journey for us. We are waking up to the self, waking up to that we are not our problems. We're waking up to a lot of things, and the discussions have just been exhilarating. They've been provocative, thought-provoking, and really the discussions that we've had have been our awakening together. The lessons that we have learned from each other, our own experiences, and the vulnerability to share those things has really just been an amazing journey. And so we're glad that you're here tonight. I did want to welcome everybody, first of all, to Spirit and Truth Sanctuary, but to kind of get your mind going, we want to remind you that change is the only constant in the universe. We all change, but we change at our own pace and in our own space. That means no one can dictate to you how quickly you change, not even me. Whether you call me your pastor or just somebody tuning in tonight, you have your own spiritual journey. You have to decide for yourself how quickly you're comfortable with changing. Some of us come from generations of thought, generations of indoctrination, and some of those things can't be changed overnight. And so change that is forced upon you becomes dictatorial. We want you to change at your own pace and in your own space. The only encouragement that we give you is if you change too slowly, sometimes you become extinct. Or if you don't adapt to your changing environment, you become irrelevant. And so we encourage you to change. We know that change is difficult at times, but change will happen when the pain of remaining the same becomes more difficult or more painful than the pain of change. Religion, as we always teach at Spirit and Truth Sanctuary, religion tells you what to think, but spirituality teaches you how to think. And so we haven't come tonight really to teach you anything, just to open up the portal of your mind to allow you to think with us tonight. Come, let us reason together. We have been in this series, and we are learning not to put labels of good and bad on any experience, refusing to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is really the only thing that we're told in the garden metaphor in Genesis. All the trees are good, just don't eat of the tree that says any of the other trees are bad. On a higher level, we could talk about the other trees as religions. Don't eat of the tree that says the other trees are bad. And so that is the oneness of humanity before we were scattered into different languages, different religions. On a personal level, we could say that tree of the knowledge of good and evil is eating of the trees that say this situation is good, this situation is bad, this is evil, this is God, this is the devil. All of these things really are distancing us from the learning that it's all working together for our good, and we're all in the process of waking up. So we have been entertaining, here's the introduction to tonight. We have been entertaining the idea that we are not our thoughts, we are not even the thinker of our thoughts, but we are the observer of the thinker who is having the thoughts. That means you're not your opinions, you're not even the mind that's having the opinions. Watch this. You are 2 steps removed from that. You are the eternal observer, observing the mind or the psyche that's having the thoughts. So that definitely means you're not your doctrines. You're not your dogmas. You're not your theology. You're not a few scriptures that you've learned. That's part of the thought. You're not the thinker even having the thoughts. You're the observer of the thinker. And so we know this, that you have thoughts. You can change thoughts. You can expand on your thoughts. You can completely delete thoughts. You can get a whole new paradigm and substitute old thoughts for new thoughts. But in that process, you're not the thoughts. You're the spirit capable of having the thoughts and then capable of shifting the thoughts. And so the difficulty that Jesus was always dealing with was trying to challenge people who believed that they were their thoughts. I am my doctrines. I am what Moses said. I am what Abraham said. And he kept saying, guys, you're not the thoughts. Watch this. You have heard of old, but I say. And if you're so attached to what has been said, you can't hear the saying. So we know tonight that faith comes by hearing, not by having heard. There is the daily bread. There is the living word for all of us tonight. Furthermore, we are becoming aware of the voice that's coming from the conditioning of our minds, or, let me say it this way, the collective cultural mindset that we may have inherited from family, from race, from religion, from gender, from sexuality. All of these filters affect how we interpret present situations. So what we want to do, what we try to do at Spirit and Truth Sanctuary, is allow everyone to get rid of those filters so that we can just hear truth without the filter. Can we hear truth without the filters of religion, race, gender, sexual orientation, country, political party or affiliation? Can we hear truth not just about God? Can we hear truth about ourselves without all of these filters? Specifically tonight, the filter of experience. Can you hear truth without having to filter it through past experiences? That's what brings us into the present, is I don't have to filter truth through something of my past. I'm in the present moment. I'm appreciating and receiving this truth in the present moment. Okay. As always, we encourage your comments, and so comment toward the material that we're going to present to you tonight. We'd love to open up a conversation at the end. Really, the lesson and the teaching from Eckhart Tolle is just a springboard to launch us into another stratosphere where we can engage each other. Mind engaging mind, iron sharpening iron, the deep things in me calling to the deep things in you. Hopefully we'll get to that place tonight. Also, just as a reminder, you can download the notes tonight in your event description so that you can follow along with us. And so we encourage you to do that at this moment. Come on, take a big deep breath, close those eyes. As we take and give that breath tonight, we celebrate the beginner's mind. We are able to empty our mind of what we think we have known to walk into the unknown or the knowing. We know that we have heard of old, but Spirit is speaking tonight. We willingly celebrate not a childlike mind, a childish mind. We celebrate the childlike mind, knowing that our questions are really just answers in seed form. We come tonight asking, seeking, and knocking, knowing that the answers will be revealed. For it's in the name and nature of Jesus the Christ we pray. Amen, and so it is. Tonight, we're going to invite you to encourage you to participate in our prayer of surrender. We call this the prayer of surrender. Sometimes we call it an invitation of truth. This is the way that we set up our minds, the soil of our soul and heart, to be ready and able to receive what we believe Spirit has for us tonight. I'll give you a quick illustration. Scripture talks about the dew, or the water that's on the ground in the mornings when we wake up. That dew is necessary for vegetation because it prepares it for the heat of the sun. The plants, the crops, your grass, flowers cannot grow without the sun, but without the water preparing it for the sun will burn it up. So truth sometimes is like that sun. It comes at us very strong, and it comes at us sometimes unfiltered. But the soil has to be prepared by the water. Our invitation of truth is our way of saying our mind is ready for the sun. The heart is open. The psyche is ready, prepared to receive something that may be different or unfamiliar. And that's okay. That's what we call green pasture. The Good Shepherd leads us into green pasture, meaning it may be new in an unfamiliar place. I'll invite you tonight, if you will, read this out loud with us. This is our prayer of surrender. Spirit of truth, carry me where you will. Bring to me what you will. Take from me what you will. Awaken in me what you will. The Christ man is around me. The Christ mind is in me. The Christ power flows through me. And the Christ mystery exists as me. I believe it. I perceive it. And now I receive it. I am surrendered. Amen. And so it is. If this is your first time connecting with us at Spirit and Truth Sanctuary, everything you need to know about Spirit and Truth Sanctuary is in that prayer of surrender right there if you read it closely. That's who we are. All right, so we have been asking questions, and let me just give you a little preface to tonight's teaching. We've been asking questions the last few weeks like this. Listen to this. Who are you without problems? Let's make it a little more individual. Who are you without your problems? Okay, let's go a little further. And what if you actually don't have any problems, but only situations that can be turned into problems by the way you approach them? And so we admitted last week that that line of questioning might make might make a lot of people mad. How dare you question my problems? How dare you question my past? How dare you question my pain, my hurt, my scars? We know it. Hey, all of us get offended when somebody says, just get over it. Very difficult words to hear. We don't want to get over it. But why? Because we identify ourselves with our pain. Who are we without our pain? Who am I without my problems? Who am I without my past? I don't know how to describe myself or define. And so our identity becomes intrinsically connected to our past, our pain, our experiences, the definitions of others that have been placed upon us. So we dare to ask the questions, who are you without all of that? Without problems, without pain, without memory. In the present moment, where memory is not allowed, who are you in the present moment? Who you are in the present moment is a spirit. Yes, having a temporary earthly expression, but you are eternally spirit in the present moment. That's where we're trying to get into that now. Sometimes it's hard to stay there, and we tap into it, but we know that in that now, the pain, the problems, the past, all dissolve into the awareness of the now. All right. So tonight's teaching is called The Joy of Being. As Bishop Carlton Pearson reminds us, you are not a human doing, you are a spiritual being. And so we're going to talk tonight about the difference in being and becoming. Yes, we all want to become something. We want to accomplish certain things. There's nothing specifically wrong with that unless it takes away from your awareness of being. And being is the admission, the ticket necessary to get into the presence of the now. All right. To alert you that you have allowed yourself to be taken over by psychological time, you can use a simple criterion. Here it is. So if you're asking yourself tonight, am I existing in eternal time, or am I existing in psychological time where there's pain, memory, all that stuff? Okay, here's the criterion. Ask yourself this. Is there joy, ease, and lightness in what I am doing? Wow, that reminds me of the scripture Jesus said, come unto me all you who are burdened and heavy laden. Take my yoke upon you and I will give you rest. And so in the yoke of Jesus, we'll say it as far as Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, in the yoke of the now, there is joy, ease, and lightness in what we're doing. All right, keep coming. If there isn't, then time is covering up the present moment, and life is perceived as a burden or a struggle. I get it. I'm aware of Frederick Douglass's quote, where there is no struggle, there is no progress. But we have to also be cognizant of the fact that we can buy into the idea, whether you call it struggle, okay, and that could be a raced religious idea or a culturally raced idea, I get it, or whether it's the struggle, watch this, of spiritual warfare, where there is no demonic attack, there is no progress. I'm not doing anything for God until I really incur and invite a lot of attacks from the enemy. A lot of that is the way I was raised. I bought into that idea. And one day I asked myself the question, who am I without spiritual warfare? Who am I without the devil? Who am I without the fear of hell? Who am I without trying to buy my way into heaven or pay my way out of hell? All of these were questions that I had to wrestle with, watch this, in becoming more present in the now moment. We're already pretty deep into it, aren't we? All right, let me read that again. If there isn't, okay, then time isn't what? Isn't joy, peace, lightness of being in what you're doing? If there isn't, then time is covering up the present moment, and life is perceived as a burden or a struggle. If there is no joy, no ease, no lightness in what you are doing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to change what you are doing. Watch this. It may be sufficient to change the how. Woo, that's really good right there. You don't have to change what you're doing. Maybe you just have to change your approach to what you're doing. Okay, keep coming. How is always more important than what? See if you can give much more attention to the doing than to the result that you want to achieve through it. Wow. We got to stop right there. Can you focus more on the journey of what you're doing than the end result or the goal of what you want to achieve by doing it? Okay, so let me say it this way to you. The spiritual journey, not in contrast with the religious journey, the religious journey is always trying to get to the finish line, always trying to get to heaven, always trying to see the kingdom coming. The spiritual journey is very vastly different than the religious journey. The spiritual journey is concerned not with arriving, not with a finish line, not with a period, but with a comma, with the journey, with the beingness, with the everyday awakening of what Spirit has for us. And so most of the world's major religions, at least the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, find themselves preoccupied with the finish line. Where is the New Jerusalem? Where is heaven? When will Jesus return? When will the devil be defeated? When will salvation, when will ultimate reconciliation happen? When will God gather all things together in one in Christ? When will the wicked cease from their troubling? That's more where we are. Yeah, all of those are religious questions. The spiritual journey is very different. I'm not trying to get to heaven. I'm trying to wake up to heaven in this present moment. I'm not trying to get to salvation. I'm trying to realize that I am one with my Creator. It's a very different journey. And in the spiritual journey, there is no room for projections into a future paradise. We are waking up to that realization right now. All right. Give your fullest attention to whatever the moment presents. This implies that you also completely accept what is, because you cannot give your full attention to something and at the same time resist it. Man, that is such a good balance right there. What do you mean by balance? Yes, I'm experiencing lightness, ease, joy, but I'm also not in denial to what's happening. I'm not in resistance. I'm not in any type of renunciation. I'm aware that life is happening around me, to me at times, through me most of the times, as me at all times. But in that realization, I am not the things that happen to me. I am not defined by my enemies. I'm not defined by my pain or by any memory of the past. I am the now and present moment. I am the observer of the thinker having the thoughts. We could say it this way. I am the observer of the life having the experiences. And so I know that's a bit of a quantum leap philosophically for a lot of us, but it does help us to wake up to the now moment. All right, keep coming. As soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolves, and life begins to flow with joy and ease. When you act out of present moment awareness, whatever you do becomes imbued with a sense of quality, care, and love. Even the most simple action. That reminds me of the scripture. Whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. Work as unto the Lord. We could relate a lot of this scripturally. So, do not be concerned with the fruit of your action. Just give attention to the action itself. The fruit will come of its own accord. Ooh, can we stop right there? What does that mean? Don't be so result-oriented. Result-oriented is still talking in consciousness about the finish line, about the end result, about the ending of the journey. How am I going to get there and over there and in the future? And all of that keeps us away from the awareness of the present moment. Give attention to the action, the present action itself. The fruit, watch this, is almost a collateral result of the awareness of the present moment. Give your heart, give your soul to the present moment. The fruit will just be a result of your awareness of the present moment. I want to give you an example tonight, scripturally, of how Abraham, Father Abraham, Abram of the Chaldees, from the Ur of the Chaldees, how he became overly preoccupied with his reward, with the result. Abraham has received some promises from God, and now he doesn't like the mystical. He doesn't like the abstract. He wants to live in the concrete. And so as God keeps saying, Abraham, I'm going to make you a father of many nations. Generations are going to be blessed through you. Your children are going to rise up and call you blessed. All these things that he's hearing God speak into his heart and inspiration in his mind. He finally says, okay, God, enough of this. Enough of all this talk about the journey. I want to know how you're specifically going to bless me. Tell me exactly. Can we talk about it tonight? What kind of car are you going to give me? How big is the house? What kind of spouse are you going to bring my way? What kind of favor are you going to bless me with, God? Abraham, in his humanity, wanted to know in a more concrete way, okay, if I do this faith walk, God, I want to know specifically how much money is in it for me. Okay? And so God continues to try to bring Abraham up into a higher consciousness. Stop talking about all that, Abraham. Finally, Abraham says, God, how are you going to bless me? And God says to Abraham, watch this, Abraham, I am your exceeding great reward. What does that mean? Stop asking me about the blessings. I am a blessing. All blessings flow through me, Abraham. Let's take it tonight to the power of now. If you will connect with this present moment, everything you need, all the blessings are in our connection in this now moment. Stop asking me about how I'm going to bless you. Just connect to me in the now, and all the blessings will be a result of your action of connecting with me in the now. All right, that's good. So don't spend our time asking what the reward is. Just do what you do, watch this, because it flows out of your beingness. It flows out of your love. It flows out of your heart. It flows out of your passion. Do it because you're passionate about it. Follow your passion, and all of the results or the fruit will just be really just a side or a result, a collateral example of you following the now moment. This is a powerful spiritual practice. In the Bhagavad-Gita, one of the oldest, that's a Hindu holy book, one of the most beautiful spiritual teachings in existence, watch this, non-attachment to the fruit of your action is called karma yoga. So what does that mean, non-attachment? Buddhists would say not non-attachment, they would say detachment. Detaching or being non-attached to the result, but just being present in the now moment. That is all that Hinduism, Buddhism, Jesus the Christ is asking us, just to be present in the now moment. Watch this. Don't worry about tomorrow, Jesus said. Tomorrow will worry for itself. Don't even ask God. God already knows what you need. But be present in the now moment. What does that mean? Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God. Be present in the moment with God, and all the other things will be added to you. That's a beautiful biblical scriptural example of that. It is described as the path of consecrated action. So what does that mean in Hinduism? Consecrated action is being so present in the moment that you are not attached to the results that may follow. And we're going to talk about that. In a moment, I'm going to read some of the sermons, some sermon clips from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. about forgetting about the results and just being present in the now moment. All right, keep coming. When the compulsive striving away from the now ceases, the joy of being flows. Okay, flows in everything you do. The moment your attention turns to the now, you feel a presence, a stillness, a peace. You no longer depend on the future for fulfillment and satisfaction. You don't look to it for salvation. I've got a cabin in the corner of glory, another jewel in my crown. All these future projections of what this earth is not my home. I'm just a stranger in a strange land. I'm just passing through. All of that is projections into the future, instead of being able to wake up to the now moment. Therefore, you are not attached, watch this, to the results. And I highlighted, underlined, and emboldened the next phrase. Listen to this. Neither failure nor success has the power to change your inner state of being. Digest that for a minute. What does that mean? Failure, success, neither garner any power to change who you are. If I'm successful in what I do, great. If I'm a failure in what I do, it is what it is. Why? I am awake to the now moment. I am being true to what Spirit is speaking to me at this now moment. I am not concerned with the results. I'm not concerned with success or failure. I'm concerned with being completely present in what Spirit is speaking to me at this moment. You have found the life underneath your life situation. Wow. In the absence of psychological time, your sense of self is derived from being, not from your personal past. My goodness. The sense of who you are is not intrinsically tied to who you have been, the things you have been through, the experiences, your indoctrinations, your pain, your scars, your successes, your failures. Success, watch this, can be just as big a test as failure. I've had some success doing this in the past. Spirit is bringing me into a new area, but I don't know. I've been successful doing this. I better just keep doing that. The now moment is not concerned with results. It's not concerned with success or failure. Therefore, the psychological need to become anything other than who you already are is no longer there. So, we are becoming comfortable with who we are, and watch this. As I become comfortable in my skin, I watch as two things happen. Either others around me become comfortable with who I am, authentically, genuinely in my own skin, or I watch as my authentic self vibrates those away from me who have been attached to my inauthentic self. Either way, in everything, give thanks. Why? I want to know who my friends are. I want to know who I connect to genuinely, not just who's here about my facade, the mask I'm wearing, the roles that I'm playing. All of these things are really a disingenuous way of living. And so when I become comfortable with me, I forget about success and failure, people's approval, people's disapproval. I just become consumed with my now beingness. I attract everything that I need to express that. I repel everything that I don't need away from me. That is, for me, that is the goal of life. In the world, on the level of your life situation, you may indeed become wealthy, knowledgeable, successful, free of this or that. But in the deeper dimension of being, you are complete and whole now. What does that mean? Without wealth or poverty, without knowledge or ignorance, without success or failure, when you completely surrender to the now moment, that dimension of being is when you are complete and whole, not in the future, not in the past, not the glory days of the past, not the projections of heaven in the future. You are complete in the now. In that state of wholeness, you will still be able to pursue external goals, but you will not have illusory expectations that anything or anybody in the future will save you or make you happy. Talk to me, somebody. We ought to stop and just get those hands up and tell them thank you right there. What does that mean? My state of wholeness, even if I'm pursuing external goals, okay, and all of us should have goals, all of us should have a vision board, but my state of wholeness is intrinsically tied to my beingness, not to any illusory expectations that anything outside of me, any body outside of me, any event outside of me in the future will either save me or make me more happy. I am happy in my own skin. Wow, powerful. As far as your life situation is concerned, there may be things to be attained or acquired. That's the world of form, of gain and loss. Yet, on a deeper level, you are already complete. And when you realize that, there is a playful, joyous energy behind what you do. Can I say it the way I want to say it? What does that mean? When you wake up to the now moment, you stop taking yourself so seriously. My God, laugh, have a good time, enjoy your life. I absolutely love it as a follower of the Christ mind that the first recorded miracle of Jesus the Christ was not opening the blinded eye, not raising Lazarus from the dead, not the lame man at the pool of Bethesda. Wonderful, powerful, feeding the 5,000. Yes, great. Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine. What does that mean? Even Jesus experienced lightness of being. Okay? Yes, he took his call seriously. Yes, he meant to help the poor, to save to reach to those who were lost. I get it. Powerful, beautiful. But it flowed out of his beingness. That means he could either perform a miracle of opening the blinded eye or helping people celebrate at a wedding. It's all good and all God. There is no sacred. There is no secular. It is all in this now moment. It is all spiritual happening at this moment. All right. Keep coming. Being free of psychological time, you no longer pursue your goals, watch this, with grim determination, driven by fear, anger, discontent, or the need to become someone. All right, so let me just give you a little bit of life 101 right here. Let's reflect on that thought for a minute. If we are free of psychological time, we don't pursue our goals with grim determination. Okay, what does that mean? I'm so doggedly committed to achieving this goal that I'm not going to let go. Well, when you take on that consciousness, watch this, you may never achieve the goal because there's going to be some criticism. There's going to be some constructive advice that comes along the way. There's going to be some necessary tweaking and adjustment to your vision, your goal, your approach, your methodology. And if you are doggedly or have a grim determination, you're not going to be able to flexibly adjust to what achieving that goal demands. What does that mean? Yes, I want to experience some things in my life, but I'm also open to the fact that I don't know it all yet. I've got to hear, I've got to listen, I've got to be a sponge, I've got to learn by osmosis. And so if I'm doggedly, committed to this specific goal, I see everyone else as an enemy. I see any criticism as just the devil. I'm not able to filter it in the now moment, watch this, to both let some of it roll off of me and apply other parts of it. It is in that lightness of being that you're able to not take yourself so seriously that you lose the capacity to hear what both negative voices are saying, maybe filter it out, but loving voices that are saying to you. All of that is really a consciousness, not of doing, but of being. Nor will you remain inactive through fear of failure. Listen to that. Dr. King said the paralysis of analysis, which to the ego is the loss of self. When your deeper sense of self is derived from being, when you are free of becoming as a psychological need, parental fantasy, making somebody happy with you, neither your happiness nor your sense of self depends on any outcome. And so there is freedom from fear. My God. Can I be a little vulnerable with you tonight? The adjustments that I have made in my spiritual journey have brought some levels of incredible satisfaction and achievement. They've also brought, as far as culturally driven definitions of success are concerned, a sense of failure at times. Why isn't our church bigger? Why don't I sold 1 million books instead of a couple thousand books? All these things that creep in are all distractions from you being who you are. That's why, and I'm about to read to you, this is the setup for Dr. King's sermon. You've got to be comfortable in being who you are. Not the outcome, not the result, not the success, not the failure. I've got to be in the now moment, presently awake to who I am, and forget about the results. The results will follow, but I've got to get rid of them. So, in deference or in reference to both Jesus, Gandhi, who were able to achieve this level of nowness, I'm going to read to you tonight some of the impact of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and how his sense of self, watch this, was independent of a specific outcome. So, let me remind you historically, the civil rights movement, incredibly impactful, incredibly successful. It didn't start that way. It started small as a minority. It gained momentum over the years. But watch this, in the midst of the civil rights movement, Dr. King began to question the war in Vietnam. He began to entertain ideas of socialism, socialistic medicine, sharing of wealth. And so here he is, this hero, both of the black community and a growing hero in even some of the apologetic white community. And all of a sudden, in the midst of his success, he starts saying, what is this war in Vietnam? Should we really be involved in this? He starts saying, shouldn't we, I understand that we're in a capitalistic society, but isn't the sharing of wealth really what Jesus teaches and the early church through the Apostle Paul teaches? So all of a sudden he gets labeled as a communist, as a socialist, anti-patriotic. Now all of a sudden, the success he is experiencing, when he was assassinated, he was not in the height of his success. He was on the downward slide of that because in his now moment, he wasn't so connected to the success of civil rights that he couldn't question the war in Vietnam, that he couldn't question the financial system that intrinsically is socioeconomically racial in our society. He was willing to say, hey, I have been without, I have been in success, I ain't tied to none of that. I am tied to my beingness. Yes, I led several 100,000 people, maybe close to 1 million, in the March on Washington. Yes, I gave the I Have a Dream speech. But that's not who I am. That's my being. My being that flowed out of me that day is also now saying, what about Vietnam? What about socialism? What about universal health care? Some of these things were just who he was, and he was not concerned as much with success as he was with being true to himself. Love that. I can almost be in tears saying that about him. So I want to read to you a little clip tonight from a message, a sermon that Dr. King gave, one of my favorite sermons. It's in this little book that is entitled Strength to Love. And it's just a collection. I would certainly encourage anyone to have it. We went through this several years ago at Spirit and Truth. It's a book entitled Strength to Love. It's a collection of 13 of his most powerful sermons. And if you just kind of look through the pages, I've got highlights and safety. What is it? What are these called? We call them gym clips in Decatur. Paper clips. I said gym clip one time in the airport. They said, have you been in jail? I said, what does that mean? Only people in jail say gym clip. I was like, I don't know what that means. I was raised in Decatur, but I call it gym clip. Paper clip. Sorry. But I would encourage anyone to get this book. I want to read to you a piece of a sermon that is entitled The Transformed Nonconformist. Isn't that scintillating to your intellect? The Transformed Nonconformist. Just a real quick clip. Dr. King said this: millions of people fear nothing more terribly than to take a position which stands out sharply and clearly from the prevailing opinion. Good evening, Spirit and Truth Sanctuary, including the gay community, including the interfaith community. There is no hell. God is bigger than religion. Hello. Dr. King is at Spirit and Truth Sanctuary, not at all the popular other churches right now. Watch this. The great ambition of the average person is to take a position that is so ambiguous that it will include everything, and so popular that it will include everybody. Now stay with me because he's going to clarify that. Along with this has grown an inordinate worship of bigness. Mega church. A lot of followers. If I say this, I might lose some support. If I challenge hell, if I say that the finished work of Jesus at the cross was just as strong as the finished work of disobedience in Adam, and that the world is saved whether they know it or not, might lose some members. Might not be as big as we want to be, but that's what Spirit is speaking to me. Keep coming. An inordinate worship of bigness. We live in an age of jumboism, where men find security in that which is large and extensive. Watch this. Big cities, big buildings, big corporations. I would add to it big churches, mega churches. This worship of size has caused many to fear being identified with a minority idea. Ooh, I got to read that again. This worship of size has caused many to fear being identified with a minority idea. I want to be popular. I want to sit at the popular table. I want to make sure I'm good with all my Christian friends, family, and cousins. I don't want to believe anything, say anything, entertain any idea that might take me out of the popular majority. Keep coming. There are those who have high and noble ideas, but they never reveal them for fear of being different from the majority. My God, how many preachers do I talk to privately who say, D.E., I agree with everything you're saying, dude. I agree with the idea that God is bigger than religion, that God doesn't care as much about our sexuality as we think we do, that God isn't going to burn 7 billion people in eternity, that all of us are children of God, whether we come to God through Christianity or through some other way. I agree with what you're saying, D.E., but that's what the majority likes. And if I preach what you're preaching, I can't pay the bills. I can't keep this big church I've built. Watch this. I can't support the empire of my name. Isn't that what happened at the Tower of Babel? Let us build a tower. Let us make our names great. That word tower in the Hebrew is the word migdala. It is translated as pulpit. Chew on that for a minute. Let me make my pulpit great. Let me make my name, my ministry, my pulpit great. I want the biggest and best megachurch I can find, and I'm going to do that by agreeing with what the majority and the popular vote thinks. How dare me have a minority idea that might be right. I might be on the right side of history, but I'm on the wrong side of success and popularity. Talk to me, somebody. Dr. King was not about all that nonsense. Keep coming. I want to read that last statement again. There are those who have high and noble ideas, like inclusion, like interfaith, like, how about this? We can't solve world peace until we solve the issue of the confrontation between Ishmael and Isaac, between Judaism and Islam. Say it any way you want to. Christianity is not going to take over the world. We're going to learn to rethink this thing and be at peace with all of the seed of Abraham. Okay, high and noble ideas, we have them, but I don't want to reveal my idea because I might be different from the majority. I might have to learn to eat lunch by myself. Come on, people. Talk to me, Spirit and Truth. Grow up. You should have gotten over peer pressure in junior high. And all the people that you wanted to be a part of, you ain't even friends with those people anymore. I told both of my kids are out of high school now. My Esther is about to graduate from college in a semester or so. And I said, you know what, how many friends do you still have from high school? And she said, maybe 3. And I only really talked to one of them. I said, baby girl, that is the religious journey. We think our whole lives that we are dependent on sitting at the popular table, when all you have to do is be true to yourself, be true to your beingness, everything else will take care of itself. All right, keep coming. I'm in Dr. King's sermon with these 2 quotes. He said this in the same sermon. If you want to get ahead in the ministry, conform. I should turn my computer around and let you see it right here. If you want to get ahead in the ministry, Dr. King says, conform. Be like everybody else. Stay, Dr. King says, within the secure walls of the sanctuary. Play it safe. Whew! How many ministers of Jesus Christ have sacrificed truth on the altar of their self-interest, and like Pilate, yielded their convictions to the demands of the crowd. I'm about to get up and run around this dining room right here. Do you hear this prophet of God who was assassinated before he was 39 years old, speaking like a sage of 80 years old? What is he saying? What is Dr. King saying to us? He's saying, stop worrying about what the crowd says. Can we talk church talk? Stop worrying about the congregation. Stop worrying about your members. Stop worrying about your biggest tithers and your biggest givers. Be what God's called you to be. The money will follow it. Provision will follow vision. Watch this, unless you're following provision. Then you've got to succumb to people's demands. You've got to succumb to their opinions. I don't know, my biggest givers, they don't like us including gay people. So I've got some gay friends and I know that they love God the way I love God, but if I don't preach the truth from Romans chapter 1, I'm going to lose all my big givers. Stop playing around. Be who God's called you to be. Be what God has called you to be. Be yourself. Be comfortable in your skin. Stop worrying about success or failure. All right, last quote from Dr. King. That was it. I want to read it again. How many ministers of Jesus Christ, listen to this again, have sacrificed truth, on the altar of their self-interest. And like Pilate, who, watch this, now listen to this. What is his likening of Pilate? So Pilate is the man that basically condemned Jesus to death. And Pilate knew in his heart that Jesus was innocent. Not only did he know it, Pilate's wife had a dream, went to her husband and said, Pilate, I am begging you. God gave me a dream. This man, Jesus, is a good man. He is an innocent man. Do not condemn him to death. Pilate leaves his wife. Okay, I need to listen to this. My wife has got a connection to spiritual things that I don't have. Goes and stands before the council of the religious order, and he says to them, I don't find any fault in Jesus. I don't know why you want me to put him to death. I think he's an innocent man. He just has his own ideas about things. I ain't going to kill him. The Jews begin to say, well, how about this? He puts his own kingdom above the kingdom of Caesar. He believes that he is a king. He is the king of the Jews. How can you tolerate somebody who says he is a king when Caesar is our king? They start playing all this propaganda with Pilate. We need you to crucify him. Pilate says, hold on now. I know y'all want to kill somebody today. Let me give you Barabbas. Barabbas is a convicted criminal. Why don't you crucify him? No. Set Barabbas free. We don't want Barabbas. We want to kill Jesus. Pilate succumbs to their demands. He is a preacher in a megachurch who has built a big old edifice, and now he has to keep those lights on, has to pay those bills, and can't say what he wants to say on Sunday morning because he has to do what the crowd says for him to say. That's why you guys laugh at me sometimes when I joke and say, I ain't never going back to the cathedral. Why? Because I would be hog-tied to paying those bills every week. How can I preach my best sermon? How can I get everybody worked up and tell them, your blessings on the way? And I can't talk about our inclusion of gay people. I can't say that the same spirit working in Jesus was also working in Gandhi. How can I say those things if I've got to pay all these bills? Everybody in their Christendom is going to walk out of those doors and I won't be able to pay these bills. I graduated from success and failure a long time ago. I ain't never going back. I'm going to be me. And so if that means having a smaller church, it is what it is. I'm not going to sell my soul. What will a man, Jesus says, what will a man give in exchange for his soul? All right, I'm going to finish because I'm running out of time. Dr. King just got me all excited tonight. You don't seek permanency where it cannot be found. In the world of form, or gain and loss, birth and death, you don't demand that situations, conditions, places, or people should make you happy, and then suffer when they don't live up to your expectations. My God. Everything is honored, but nothing matters. Whoo! You feeling that? Everything is honored, but nothing matters. Forms are born and die. Yet you are aware of the eternal underneath the forms. You know that nothing real can ever be threatened. When this is your state of being, how can you not succeed? How can you not exchange your mind for some type of popularity? You have succeeded already. All right, I've gone past my time today. Y'all forgive me. Dr. King got me all excited. Are there any, we want to get into some comments and discussion tonight?
Sure, there's several. I don't know how to shuffle them. Since Pastor decided to preach tonight, we don't have a lot of time.
Everybody say yes. Okay. I felt it all on me tonight.
Yeah, actually several things. I'll kind of reorder here, but Doreen actually commented. So we were just talking about this the other day. The Pope spoke out today about the church and gay people saying they are children of God. And we were just talking about that the other day.
Wow. Do you know how much criticism Pope Francis has endured? Some of the world celebrates him. For me, I'm not Catholic, okay? That is my Pope. I would convert to Catholicism. I love that Pope so much. He's not perfect, and he says a few offensive things, but he has chosen to go against popularity and challenge the status quo. Why aren't divorced people welcomed in the Catholic Church? why can't women be just as esteemed as men? The Pope has even questioned, why can't a priest be married and still be a priest in the Catholic Church? Tell you what, it would clear up a lot of stuff that's happened in the Catholic Church. We are sexual beings. Just because I'm a sexual being doesn't mean I'm not married to God. I'm not married to my call, the upward call in Jesus Christ. The Pope has also said our gay brothers and sisters are welcomed with us. He has said that to the detriment of his own popularity. A lot of people don't like him for that. I love it that the Pope has been willing to go against the grain. I love that. Thank you, Doreen, for sharing that.
Yeah. A lot of comments were focused on the future, and actually Callie brought up the place where we talked about illusory expectations, which would just be expectations of the future based on something that's not real. But the idea that if we are so focused on that we never truly reach what it is what we're so focused on in the future.
Right.
So Richard actually commented, when we allow others to define or try to conform to others' opinions of us, we limit our ability to accept or become who we really truly are.
Wow. So good. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Callie. As I was listening to your comments, I was reminded of the journey of Job. If you can hear it this way, Job, his health was challenged. He lost his money. And in the process, watch this, he lost his friends, his wife, some of his family left him. And so you may see that as a curse, hear me, but at this place in my life, I don't want people connecting to me because I'm popular. I don't want people to connect to me because I've got money or I'm in good health. I want them to connect to me because of who I am. And so if God has to show me who my genuine connections are as a result of me being who I am, not what I have, not what others think of me, that's all the ego, then the curse really is a blessing, isn't it? Thank you, Richard. Yes, me being me has only shown me in a vibrational universe who I'm supposed to be connected to anyway, and that's okay. If that's less people, that's okay. We don't have to fake the funk anymore. Wonderful.
Doug wrote something very interesting. Short, but very interesting. A mountain is smallest at the top.
Yes. Woo, yes. I love that, Doug. What does that mean? When you're at the top of your expression of your being, when it becomes so clear who you are, there may not be this huge gathering of everybody around you. Why? Because you're comfortable with you now, and that's okay. Do you know how many people, watch this, how many people don't leave their childhood church because they don't want to upset the social order of their family? They don't want to upset the communal order of their business contacts. And so in order to keep my family happy, to keep my community, business, public, persona in place, I will continue to be under teaching that I've outgrown years ago. I'm not even connecting with what's being said now. But socially, familially, I'd rather just fake who I am and keep everybody happy. And what you are doing when you do that is you're dying a slow death. Your relationships suffer. What feels like obligation turns into resentment. I resent y'all making me be this thing that I'm not just to keep everybody happy. Everybody around you is going to be happier when you are who you are. That's so good. The peak of the mountain is the absolute smallest place. How brilliant. Great quote.
So Richard actually also wrote in earlier tonight, I was always told growing up that we learn by doing. Do we learn better by doing or being?
Wow, what an existential question. Do we learn better by doing or being? Well, I'll marry the two if that's okay. Doing should be an outgrowth of being. The way that we learn about being in our formative years is by doing. We are doing religion. We are doing the social order. We are doing the facade. We're doing the genuine. We learn by the doing. Hopefully we get to a place where we are no longer learning by doing. We are learning by being. But it may be a progression of truth. There are some beings who who incarnate into this world as Jesus of Nazareth, Siddhartha Gautama or the Buddha, Sri Krishna, Lord Krishna, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., who learn a lot less by doing than being. That's why we talk about them today. We're still talking about these amazing beings, Mother Teresa. But many of us don't learn in a quantum way, and so we do learn by doing. But hopefully at some point, the doing is transmuted into the being, and the learning becomes being and not just doing.
So a segue from that, in regards to doing versus being, and this is kind of me going to put my own kind of thoughts to this, but LaDonna wrote in and actually said, as it related to mega ministries, if you create a monster, then you have to feed it. But I thought, when we think about doing or creating whatever it is we think that we, like you said, success versus failure. So if you relate that to different things as far as doing and create careers or corporate America, when you create that monster, when you get more things, then you have to feed it. The idea that we think that we're so focused on what we think we want in the future, but then do we even give ourselves room by being so, the life sucked out of us with the monster we have to feed?
So let's reflect on that. Thank you, LaDonna. She and I are children of megachurch. We were raised in the fourth largest church in America, America's first racially integrated megachurch. And so LaDonna and I are familiar with success. We were raised in it. We also are familiar with what it takes to feed an empire once you build it. And so if that means that the empire is built on people's attachment to a personality, watch this, stay with me, to that personality's sinlessness and his ability to hide his humanity from you for a season, and then it starts coming out, and all of a sudden the empire I've built, we can't sustain it. Is that empire dependent on the successor of that ministry? Just trying to stay status quo. Let's just talk about word of faith, your blessing, kingdom, salvation, baptism, resurrection, repentance from sin, all these things. Is it dependent on that successor not inviting the gay community? Not saying that the world is bigger or God is bigger than religion? Yeah, so that's how you get trapped up into ego. I am what others think of me. I am what I have. I am my successes. I want to give you an illustration that you may feel like it's politically driven, but I want to remind you, I have a lot of Democratic views. I have a lot of Republican views. I have a lot of extremely liberal views. I have some conservative views. I am not a politician. I am a preacher. And so Spirit and Truth Sanctuary is a principled organization, not a politically driven organization. However, I do want to give you this example of how much resistance there is to the new green idea. What does that mean? Even Amazon, which is one of the most successful businesses in the world, Amazon has just exploded over the last few years. Their founder and CEO wants to be completely green in the next 20 years. What does that mean? Every delivery that Amazon makes, they want it happening with zero carbon emission. They don't want to affect the environment anymore. And so the Amazon CEO is able to say, I'm looking out into the future, even though I've experienced some incredible success with all of these vans and buses and delivery methodology that's using gasoline, fuel, polluting the air. I'm willing to shift because I see this is better for the environment. It's going to cost me something up front, but I think in the long run, it's going to be being true to myself as an environmentalist. Wow. What is the resistance politically to the environment? Why must we insist that recycling is not important to God? Why must we insist that there's no such thing as global warming and make that a political issue? Why must we insist on these divisions? Why? Because we are tied to who we think we are. I'm tied to this political platform. I'm tied to this one. I'm tied to that. We are never going to accomplish living together peacefully until we get over politics and become people, humans, spirits. And so that's just one example. I am presently driving a truck that I bought that's now paid off. Thank God, I finally got the title on my truck. That I bought when my kids were little. I was coaching basketball, dogs, basketballs all over the place. I'm having to carry people everywhere. Well, eventually, I don't need that vehicle, that size vehicle anymore. That vehicle is not environmentally friendly. My daughter reminds me every day, Dad, you're driving an earth killer. Your car's an earth killer. I don't want to drive that the rest of my life. I want to transition into a battery-powered, more environmentally friendly car. But that takes adjustment. It takes being willing to redefine yourself. I don't care if it's politics, church, environmentalism, your nuclear family. It all takes flexibility and the ability to adjust.
Pastor Curtis gave you 3 amens there. No, I mean, I think we're over time. There's a lot more comments, but
Let's maybe take one more.
Sorry, I think, let me see here. Yeah, I like this. If you hold on too tight to a particular goal, then there's no room for achieving your actual goal. It might need tweaking, but you're stuck on one idea, afraid to open your mind to change. That was Miss Bobby.
So good, Miss Bobby. Who moved my cheese? I'm gonna take you rock and roll style. LaDonna will appreciate this. Hold on loosely and don't let go. Anybody ever heard that song? If you cling too tightly, you're gonna lose control. So this rock group gives us this truth that hold on, but hold on loosely. But holding on loosely doesn't mean letting go. However, if you cling too tightly, if you over control, you're going to lose control. Look at the beautiful balance of that. That isn't Jesus. That isn't MLK. That isn't Gandhi. That's a rock group. Look, I'm sure my sister knows who the name of that is. It may be 38 Special or something like that. I think that's who that is. That is a life blueprint. Hold on, but hold on loosely. Have a goal, but be willing to tweak it. Don't be tied to the success or the failure. Do you know how many times Thomas Edison, Benjamin Franklin failed at their experimentations?
Yes, 38 Special, she said.
Was it 38 Special? How many times did they fail at their experimentations? Creating electricity, alternate current, direct current. They continued to fail, blow things up. They had to tweak. They had to say, okay, well, this worked, this didn't work. Be willing to be flexible. Don't define yourself by success or by failure. Define yourself by being and being true to who you are. All right. Let's read our closing affirmation together. I couldn't be more grateful for the discussion tonight. I know I went a little bit long, but it's hard to read a sermon like that from Dr. King and not get all excited about it. I'm a preacher, so I got all into it tonight. But we love you guys. We have so appreciated the discussion and the comments tonight. I will encourage you. Let's all read our affirmation together tonight. Come on. I am not my thoughts. I am not the thinker of my thoughts. I am the observer, witnessing the thinker, thinking the thoughts. Tonight, I am not the voice in my head or any limitation of an inherited collective cultural conditioning, religious indoctrination, or even my past experiences. This week, I will mind my mind, free my mind, be free of my mind, and surrender to practice no mind. Wow, that's a lot to chew on right there. We love you guys, and we look forward to seeing you again on Sunday morning. And until we connect again, remember that you are the joy of being, not the joy of doing. A couple of shouts out before we close tonight. Miss Rosaline, Roberta, Ivy and Margie, Laverne, Mary, Randy, Esther, Ben and Vicky, Emma, Callie, Myrna, Dana, Richard, Taria, Susan, Lenora, Terry, Elaine, Cindy, Glenna, Pastor Don, LaDonna, Huguette, Sheila, Crystal, Bobby, Terry, Cheryl, Patricia, Pastor Curtis, Esther, Pastor Gloria, Howard, Dr. Sharonda, Eve, Alita, Richard, Josephine, Betty, Jennifer, Sylvia, Tamaria, Doreen, Jeffrey. Oh, look at that. Not only Jennifer, but Jeffrey Culberson on tonight. Anita, Irma, Patrick, let's see, Norman, Gina, Valerie, Reverend David Michael, Gloria, Sherby, Doug, Carla, and Cheryl at Cheryl Handy. And I've got a note here who wants to become a member, and that's so exciting to us, Cheryl. Yes, we want you to become a member. we know that you've probably been connecting with us because your name is familiar. We've been connecting with you for a long time. And so let us know. We had 2 members join on a Zoom call a couple of weeks ago, so we can definitely make it work. And so finally, Regina Scott and It's the Sauce Man also tonight. We love you guys. Thanks for connecting with us, and we look forward to reconnecting with you again Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Until then, go in peace, and may God bless you.